All right, welcome. Today we are tackling something huge. We're talking about a technology that, for decades, was basically a ghost. Nuclear power. It was the stuff of nightmares, right? But now, it's suddenly being hailed as, maybe, just maybe, the key to our clean energy future. So, what on earth changed? Let's dive in.
I mean, just listen to that. That is a massive claim. A few years ago, saying something like that out loud would have sounded, well, kind of crazy. But this idea is at the very heart of a seismic shift in how governments, investors, and even environmentalists are thinking about energy. The real question is, how did we get here?
And that is the core puzzle we're going to piece together. We need to look at its dramatic history, the powerful new forces that are driving this comeback, and of course the major hurdles that are still in the way. To really understand the comeback, you first have to understand the fall.
So let's rewind the clock. The story of nuclear power is a total roller coaster. It's full of these incredible highs and just absolutely devastating lows, and all of that is what shaped our deep-seated fear of this technology.
You know, the whole story starts with the terrifying power of the atomic bomb, but right after that, we pivoted to this incredibly optimistic vision of atoms for peace. That kicked off a golden age of construction. But then, public trust was just shattered. 3 Mile Island was a massive wake-up call in the US. Then Chernobyl became a global byword for absolute catastrophe. And just when the industry seemed to be recovering, the 2011 Fukushima disaster felt like the final nail in the coffin. It sparked a wave of reactor shutdowns all over the world.
So, with a history like that, why on earth are we even talking about a nuclear renaissance? Well, it turns out that 3 powerful, interconnected forces have all hit at the same time to completely flip the script. Okay, so driver number 1, and this is the big one, the climate crisis. Look, solar and wind are amazing, but they're what we call intermittent. The sun sets, the wind dies down, and the power stops. The modern grid needs a steady, 24/7 baseload power source to keep the lights on for everyone. And nuclear provides that constant power with virtually zero carbon emissions. That combination is just becoming impossible to ignore. Second, it's about security. Recent conflicts have been a brutal reminder of the danger of depending on foreign oil and gas. Those resources can be and have been weaponized in an instant. Nuclear offers a path to energy independence. You can fuel a single plant for years at a time, giving a country a stable, domestic source of power that isn't hostage to what's happening on the other side of the world.
And the third driver? This is where things get really interesting. It's the technology itself. For decades, the industry has been trying to solve its biggest problems: safety, cost, and just how long it takes to build these things. And now, a whole new generation of reactor designs is promising to change the entire game.
Meet the game changer, the Small Modular Reactor, or SMR. The idea here is, instead of building these gigantic, one-of-a-kind plants, you build smaller reactors in a factory and then assemble them on site. That could slash costs and construction time. But the truly revolutionary part is the safety. Many of these new designs use what's called passive safety. That means they rely on the laws of physics, like gravity, to cool the reactor down in an emergency. So think about it this way. If all the power goes out, there are no buttons to push or computers to rely on. Valves that are held shut by electricity just fall open, and coolant floods the core, all by itself. It's not about human intervention, it's just physics.
Now, as you can imagine, all this new buzz and all these new plans have created a massive ripple effect in the market for the fuel itself, uranium. For years, this was a totally forgotten commodity. Now, it's the centerpiece of a huge supply and demand squeeze.
See, after Fukushima, the price of uranium just cratered. Demand vanished. Nobody was building new reactors. So mines were closed, exploration just stopped, the entire industry basically went into hibernation. And that set the stage perfectly for the massive supply crunch we're starting to see today.
And this is what that looks like. You've got this huge imbalance. On one side, you have a supply chain that's really struggling to wake up after being asleep for a decade. On the other side, you've got this surge in demand, from existing reactors running longer and a whole fleet of new ones being planned. That growing gap you see between supply and demand, that's what is fueling this brand new bull market for uranium.
Of course, it's not all smooth sailing. This renaissance has plenty of critics, and the challenges are very, very real. So to get the whole picture, we need to take a really honest look at both sides of the modern nuclear debate.
And right here, this is the fundamental tension. The pros are almost a perfect solution to our biggest problems today: reliable, carbon-free power, energy security. But the cons are equally serious. We're talking about massive upfront costs, the still unsolved problem of what to do with waste that stays radioactive for thousands of years, and that deep-seated public mistrust that is really, really hard to shake.
So, looking ahead, if this nuclear renaissance is going to be more than just hype, the industry has to overcome some absolutely massive hurdles.
Yeah, making this happen is a monumental task. An entire generation of nuclear engineers has basically retired. We have to train a whole new workforce from scratch. Specialized supply chains for critical parts, they need to be rebuilt. All of this requires attracting billions upon billions of dollars in investment, all while trying to earn back public trust. And we still have to find a permanent, proven solution for all that nuclear waste.
And that really brings us to the ultimate question, doesn't it? When we're facing climate change and all this global instability, is embracing nuclear power a pragmatic, essential step forward? Or are we just repeating the mistakes of the past, taking on risks we're still not truly prepared to manage? The answer to that is going to define our energy future for decades. Thanks for joining me.